C'est un métier pas facile.
Just ensure from the very beginning that your mind is open.
Ogni allenatore abbia un proprio metodo, no?
You have to go your own way. You have to go with what you feel.
All top managers have an absolute love for the game.
Pour faire ça, il faut vraiment être passionné et bien se préparer.
FIFA 21's career mode has had a massive overhaul. I'm talking wholesale changes that revolutionise the game mode and reflect the challenges facing an elite level manager. Now, being a huge career mode fan myself, I want to get some tips for taking on this year's version, so I'm going to pick the brains of some of the world's best gaffers for a unique insight into top level management. So today, we're going to talk about what it is to be a great manager in real life and also the parallels in FIFA 21 and just give us some insight into what it's like to be an elite level manager. We've got a few questions, so the first one is fairly simple but very important. What is the secret to being a great manager?
Prima di tutto penso che la passione sia fondamentale per il calcio.
Un entraîneur, il faut qu'il se prépare à des choses qui sont parfois très compliquées à gérer dans une saison, parce que la saison, quand elle commence, elle s'arrête pas, elle s'arrête jamais.
You always have to be able to persuade people, to have the player put all his potential in the pitch for you.
How would you describe your approach to being a manager?
I was very, very strict with the method in a way of playing. Experience in Chelsea made me adapt a little bit more, being a bit more flexible. And this has helped me a lot.
Sicuramente penso che ogni allenatore abbia un proprio metodo, no? Di approccio nei confronti della squadra, un proprio sistema di allenamento.
It's important to have a genuine care for people. Above the player is very much the person.
An approach that brings people together and tries to construct teams instead of individuals.
So in career mode in FIFA 21, the new schedule management feature allows me to balance training and recovery. For you, how important is it to balance these two things and how difficult is it as well?
Sports science gives you a great opportunity to understand where players are at in terms of fatigue, how much recovery they need.
You need always 2 days recovery from a match. Psychologically is better first day off. Physiologically is better second day.
Okay.
Et c'est un équilibre. La préparation, la récupération, toutes ces choses-là, en fait, c'est un ensemble.
Con i calciatori che non hanno giocato quella partita perché magari giocano la prossima, e di farli allenare bene, di non farli perdere la condizione fisica.
What is also important, and it's not scientific, it's just about sitting down and talking with the player. I had one example with Luis Suarez. Luis returned from an international and he looked absolutely shattered. So I seen him on the day of the game, he still looked a little bit tired, but he said, "Boss, listen, I'm fine, I'll be ready to play." And he scored a hat-trick. And he was amazing. I think we won 4-0. So if I was purely going on the science of it and just looking at him,
yeah,
I maybe would have given him a rest, but he wanted to play and was happy to play, and we got the rewards in the end.
With the new active training feature in FIFA 21, I can now take group training sessions to help develop players with very specific needs. How has your approach to training changed? And at the top level, do you have to take a more individualized approach?
Sur le plan physique, tout a changé, tout va beaucoup plus vite et il faut être vraiment prêt. Aujourd'hui, si vous n'êtes pas prêt physiquement, même si vous êtes très bon techniquement, vous ne pouvez pas y arriver. Et ça ne suffit plus aujourd'hui.
Cerco sempre di chiedere ai miei calciatori aspetti e situazioni che poi ci saranno in partita.
We do it by sectors, the attackers, the midfielders and the defenders. We approach specific behaviors per position. For example, in the defenders, we can work on the line, on controlling depth, controlling spacing behind. With the midfielders, we can work with mobility. And with the attackers, we can work on finishing and movements and combinations.
There are so many challenges that a manager faces throughout the season, but what do you feel is the biggest challenge that you face in terms of player management?
Me having to listen to their music in the change room before the game, that's my biggest challenge.
Ho fatto il calciatore comunque base ti porta, no? Ad essere un po' a guardare te stesso, ad essere felice se giochi, ad essere meno felice se sei in panchina. La più grande sfida per un allenatore nella gestione dei calciatori è riuscire a pensare 24 persone con il noi e non con l'io.
Also in FIFA 21's career mode, there's a match sharpness feature, which allows me to monitor and analyze how mentally prepared a player is for the game. Is this something that you pay a lot of attention to?
They can have all the technical attributes, you can have all the tactical acumen, they can physically be fantastic, but the mentality has a huge impact on their game.
Fatigue sometimes might even be psychological fatigue. This can happen, for example, when you have stresses at home.
È importante entrare nella testa del calciatore e cercare di ottenere il massimo da lui.
En tous les cas, je ne suis pas psychologue, ça c'est sûr, et ça ne m'intéresse pas de l'être. Par contre, il faut avoir un dialogue constant avec le joueur. Si le joueur arrive à vous comprendre et vous comprenez le joueur, là il peut se passer quelque chose d'intéressant.
The new player development capabilities in career mode means that now I can develop players to fulfill multiple roles on the pitch. How do you actually go about analysing what players are going to be able to make that positional and tactical shift?
Ogni bravo allenatore deve capire prima di tutto le caratteristiche del proprio calciatore, cercare quindi di esaltare i pregi del proprio calciatore.
My first year in Tottenham, we reached a game where Ekoto was out. We had to choose between Vertonghen and Gareth to play left back. I called both of them aside and I said, listen, one of you two is going to play left back tomorrow. Hey, boss, no, come on, no. Both of them.
Moses era praticamente un'ala offensiva e l'ho messo a giocare come wingback. Ha scoperto che essere, secondo me, uno tra i migliori in quella posizione.
Gareth wasn't feeling that he was unlocking his full potential. So he came into my office one day and he said, boss, I'm not happy. Things are not going well for me. Okay, I can try to change to 4-4-2 and you play free at top with Adebayor and okay, I can move Sigurdsson off to the left coming in. And this is when he starts that run of games where he scores, I think, 5 or 6 games in a row.
Yeah, every game.
And our results exploded and his career exploded from that moment on.
È molto bello poi quando vedi questi cambiamenti, soprattutto quando ottieni dei risultati importanti e il calciatore è felice di questo.
In FIFA 21, a new feature is the number of options to loan and to transfer new players. So now, for me, when I'm playing the game, I can make my perfect team. What are the benefits for you of a loan deal? And has there been a loan signing that's really paid off in a huge way?
Bisogna essere bravi, avere occhio, avere visione, perché spesso e volentieri anche durante la stagione nel mercato tra virgolette di riparazione il mercato di gennaio, riuscire a trovare l'elemento giusto anche in prestito diventa veramente importante.
Has there ever been, a player that's got away, one that you were really close to signing but you just couldn't get over the line?
Every transfer window.
That happens to you a lot. Something that you feel is going to change your team.
Yeah.
I think Daniel Levy won't appreciate it too much, but we had Willian in our office watching the Champions League game together before he leaves the room and signs for Chelsea that night.
Wow, okay, yeah.
We missed Moutinho, which now became famous, of course, because of Wolves.
Yeah, wow.
Because of a 1 minute deadline.
So the new interactive match sim feature means that now when you're simulating the game, I can hop in and actually take control of the really key moments. For you as a manager, but also as a former player, have there ever been moments when you've thought, I really need to sub myself on here, for a penalty or, a free kick on the edge of the box?
È difficile rispondere a questa domanda, non è semplice.
Comme j'étais joueur et que j'aime ça, j'ai envie de temps en temps d'y être.
You always fancy it, then obviously you get into the situation where you blaze it over the bar from 12 yards.
Yeah.
No, there's certain times where you wish you were out on the pitch. And I've got to say, certain times where you think, well, I'm glad I'm not out on the pitch because I'm going to have to deal with Mane and Salah.
With FIFA 21's improved opposition AI, opposition teams now are harder to beat than ever. Do you feel in real life that the global level of football has increased and that now there are no more matches against so-called small teams?
Il n'y a plus de petites équipes, oui. Il y a plus de petites équipes, il n'y a plus de petits joueurs. C'est fini tout ça. Je crois que chaque équipe, si elle est bien préparée, elle peut gagner n'importe quelle équipe. C'est ce qui rend le foot encore plus intéressant aujourd'hui. Il faut se préparer pour jouer contre une équipe qui, entre guillemets, ne peut pas vous mettre en difficulté au départ.
I think what you find now is that teams are so well organised, teams are fitter, the game's evolving, it's getting faster all the time.
Teams prepare more often, better. You have all the tools available also in terms of analyzing of opponents. I believe that it's getting harder and harder to win games. Yeah.
If there was one piece of advice that you could give your younger self before stepping into management, what would it be?
Le plus important, c'est la qu'est-ce que vous faites pour gagner? Et je savais que ça allait être difficile, je savais qu'en tous les cas ça allait être beaucoup plus difficile d'entraîner que de jouer. Et je vous confirme que c'est beaucoup plus difficile d'entraîner que de jouer. Oui.
Okay.
I always had a clear philosophy in terms of how I want to work, but just ensure from the very beginning that your mind is open. Take on board as much as you possibly can. Be clear and open in your mind.
Sarebbe quello, ecco, di godermi il percorso,
Don't get too down on yourself when you make mistakes. Don't get too high when you have a bit of success.
Never lose your passion for the game. And this is certainly something that Robson, Mourinho, Guardiola, and all top managers have. An absolute love for the game. You are thinking about the game 24 hours, you go home, you're thinking about the game, you're sleeping and you're thinking about training. And I think never let that fire burn down.
Thank you so much for your time and for your insight. It was amazing.
See you. Bye-bye.
Cheers, Timsy. All the best.
Salut, au revoir.
Ouais, au revoir, au revoir.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, see you soon. Bye-bye. So there you have it. FIFA 21 Career Mode is now unbelievably detailed, letting you manage every moment and take on the challenges that real-life, genuine managerial geniuses face. Now it's time to put into practice some of the tips they just gave me. So, if you excuse me.
PlayStation